Doing well. I got this, I don't know if you can see this. I have this fidget spinner thing that I got at the conference I was at earlier this week.
That looks like a
Yeah,
Rubik's Cube.
it's just a cube that spins
Oh, it's a fidget
and
spinner.
it's kind of
Yeah.
this like metallic sheen. Anyways, I'll probably be fidgeting with it.
But it doesn't have the sort of extension that the other fidget spinners have. I feel like it's harder to get
Yeah, this one's simple. You
the
just spin
thing
it.
going. Yeah. Nice. Interesting. Is that for it's how you think? It's a brain tool or something?
Yeah. I think I'm like a fidgety person.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I am too. I usually play the drums on the table. That's my thing. But Matt, thanks for being here. Do you want to give us a little intro as to who you are? You wrote a great piece called uh,
Yeah.
"Always From Always On to Fully Present." I love the title of that, by the way. From always on to fully present. We're going to get into it and a little bit more about the thought and motivate the thinking and inspiration that went behind the article, and also other things that you've got on your mind. But before we get into that,
hmm
you want to give us a little intro as to who you are and what you've got going on and what you've been up to lately.
Yeah. My name is Matt. I'm currently in Palo Alto. I moved here 4-ish months ago. And I think what's relevant is okay, I studied computer science, I studied engineering in college, but then I ended up in my first chapter of my career, I was working in tech. So not only was I using, laptops and internet and staring at a screen a lot during the day, I was also creating products that require people to, interact with their phone or their computer, right? It wasn't like this crafts person making analog things. Um, but I think it's less about like my professional background and more of just like I've always been very observant and almost like diligent about my small habits or like not even habits, just how I do things throughout the day. And I've oscillated between like being kind of like a power user of Instagram and other tools and apps that it's not even like a question. It's just all embedded into our daily life at this point. Um, but also the fact that I was sort of on the work side of seeing how these things get built and incentives and just sort of big macro picture of how money moves, how people get paid, how jobs get created, all these things. But also, I would say like the next chapter that is relevant is I left tech at the beginning of 2023, took a year-long sabbatical, and ultimately ended up stumbling into coaching. And a big part of coaching is around like self-awareness and mindfulness and being intentional about your decisions and the way you live and understanding what you want at a very deep level. And of course, like the things that get you stuck, the patterns and like negative beliefs, all these things from a pretty typical like personal growth, self-development standpoint. And then like when I looked at my own life, I was like, wow, um, doom scrolling actually does make me feel like shit. I should probably try to stop doing it, but it's kind of hard to stop doing it when I feel lonely or bad or whatever. Um, so there was like the th piece about I used to work in tech and actually just got back into tech. There's the aspect of coaching, and then there's also this sort of like my own relationship to myself of always just wondering like how can I live a little bit better day after day. And so in the piece, it's mostly centered around like technology, but I tried to make it more um, philosophical rather than like here are 10 tactics to like be more productive. And here are these like app blocking tools you need because there's plenty of that stuff already written.
Yeah, makes sense. So, I mean, in case anyone's watching this who has not yet read the article, the always on to fully present. It's basically about, it's almost like a vision of healthier consumer tech design, right? Like, how can we design a suite of consumer products that, uh, you know, uh, help produce more sort of psychological well-being, don't seem to intrude on our psychological well-being or be a negative influence on our well-being, but actually are sort of um, uh, attuned to the way we live. I mean, you have a bunch of different ideas. We're going to get into it, but basically, it's a vision for sort of um, a healthier tech design with very specific concrete ideas on like what kinds of technology could we create, like what are the design principles we could use, etc. And when I read it for the first time, I thought, I mean, there were some ideas in there that I'd never thought of before. And so I did want to ask you, you touched on it a little bit, your product management. Did you say product management or product design? You were
Product management.
product management background. So you're working closely with tech products. Um, like what, I'm always curious about like how people think. And
Hmm.
what do you think? Do you think was it the training in that role, or was it something else? Like what do you think it is that you do that allowed you to sort of arrive at some of these more unique insights? Is it just because you had so much exposure to how the sausage is made that you sort of started thinking differently? Like uh, how did you generate some of these ideas that you talk about in the piece?
Hmm. I think I have this unique experience of like seeing how people, well, I think basically most people fall into like two camps. One is sort of this like tech bro camp of like Apple Watch, iPhone, AirPods, working at a tech company and like on social media, sort of like very online almost. And then there's sort of this other camp of like, let me just go full analog and like go live in the woods with my friends in a commune and read physical books and like shop at the farmer's market and just like completely unplug from society. And that actually leads to, actually not engaging in with the rest of the with the rest of the population. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of two bad choices. I feel like I sort of dabbled in little flavors or, I go backpacking a lot out in nature. So I've been able to experience like what, how amazing it is to go like a week without technology. I actually lived without a phone for like over 40 days, kind of by accident. So there's like these experiences that I've collected where I'm like, okay, I wouldn't want to live this like this all the time, but there's clearly some tangible benefits just from how I feel day to day. And then as you were saying that question, it's like, what is it about being a PM, product manager? I think it's the piece of like every single app or thing we use, from like an iPhone app to, a car that we sit in to even like a bike, right? It was all designed by someone or multiple people. And so there are all these choices that were made by the people that created these products. Um, and those decisions are a blend of like, how can we make the most magical, delightful experience or product for someone? But also, like, how can we make money doing this thing?
Yeah.
And so it's actually the most sort of like the interdisciplinary way of viewing things, that I think helped me see like, basically all, Instagram, all the social media companies, the reason why they shifted from truly social network of like Instagram used to start out as you were just connected with your friends to now it's algorithmically injected content from people you don't follow. And the medium has shifted from single image with caption to short form video, or, like carousels of many images, is because time spent equals more ads viewed equals more revenue for Meta. But even, you know, I think Instagram gets picked on a lot and so does TikTok. But even if you look at Substack, they started out as a platform to like help you take an email list and send emails, like blogs basically, to your audience. And now they're trying to shift everyone to Substack.com or the app instead of reading it in their email reader. And they added like this panel on the right on Substack.com that shows all this bullshit, trending stuff.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
I open up Substack.com and I'm like, oh, here's this like crazy tragedy that happened, or like here's this geopolitical, bill or half of them mention Trump. It's like I'm not trying to get my news from Substack. I also don't want to even understand what the trending Substack posts are because that's the whole point of why I've subscribed to a specific list.
Right.
And so it happens across every different it's not like Zuckerberg is like uniquely, even if you think he's evil or not, right? It's not like he's the only person. It's incentives are very powerful.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I think Substack is trying to become a Twitter competitor, actually, is what's going on. And
Yeah.
I feel like this transformation started around the time when the Substack links were allegedly sort of deprioritized in the Twitter algorithm. So then I think and I'm just assuming here, but then Substack is like, all right, if we're not going to be able to get traffic from Twitter, we'll just become Twitter, you know?
Yeah.
But
Well, the other important
yeah,
dynamic is that Substack has raised a shit ton of venture capital money. And
yeah,
so,
yeah. So you have to,
if they had not, and also, just to keep it's not clear if they would have been able to build the product that they have without that money, because you need the money to hire good talent and like,
totally.
whatever. But um, Substack could have built a great business without all of this other shit, with maybe a more sustainable burn rate in terms of headcount and all the other costs with running a software business. Um, if they didn't have, really strong obligations to um, hit the run rate that they need based on the amount of money they've already raised.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was might have been like Hacker News or somewhere. There was a post. It went a little bit viral of like a Netflix engineer who was like talking about how his whole job at one point was like A/B testing um, how many seconds the app would automatically like wait before moving to the next episode after you know how an episode ends and there's like a little
Oh yeah.
timer, right? And then it'll just automatically start the next episode, right? And they actually A/B tested like how many seconds, and it was like something like if you go, less than 4 seconds or something, it's too fast, it's too jarring for for the person. But if you wait
Hmm.
longer than some amount of seconds, it's like gives them too much time to like let the system two thinking kick in. So they found the sweet spot
Mm.
was like 4 to 6 seconds or something like that. I'm making up the
Yeah.
numbers, but the thinking behind it, and it's like, there is actually quite a bit of brain power that goes into figuring out how to keep you on these platforms as long as possible. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into the specific ideas a little bit. And you have four different sort of sections in the article where you go into like your specific future suggestions. But I think if we sort of collapse it down, there's like there's, setting aside the aligned incentives part, we can get to that. But there's like two big ideas in there from what I could read. One was um, actually more intelligent devices that are more dynamic, that are more in tune with changing situations, and that can change themselves at the operating system level based on the changing situations around the user, right? So, for example, I'll see if I can find an example. I something up here. By the way, everyone who's watching, this is the little sneak preview of the upcoming collection we got coming. Life in the Scroll Age. Little shameless plug there. Hope you don't mind that.
I like
Um,
scroll age. Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah, yeah. Life in the Scroll Age. Um, actually, ChatGPT came up with that, to be totally honest. So,
Yeah, it's a good example of like
yeah,
um my stance, I think, is not actually about becoming a Luddite, and
right,
it's also not
right.
about continuing to embrace technology for every single purpose in our life.
Totally, totally. Although, I don't know if you read our friend Aishwarya's article, which is also in the collection, but that's about, over dependence on
Yeah.
AI for to sort of outsource all of our thinking to AI and the dangers of that. But um, setting that aside, uh, yeah, you have some like I'll just read a paragraph here. The real opportunity is to design technology that respects context. Imagine a personal mode that does not just silence work apps, but makes them vanish, so there's no temptation to check in. Imagine time-based profiles that automatically shift your phone's interface with different wallpaper, app arrangements, and notification permissions, depending on whether it is Tuesday at 2 p.m. or Saturday at 2 p.m. The same principle applies in reverse. During the workday, I want to configure apps like Instagram to be inaccessible so that it's easier for me to focus. And you have it in other places too, where it's like, a phone that sort of automatically adjusts the lighting or something based on, if I've been on it for too long or something,
Hmm.
right? So, more intelligent devices, you think, could actually help us um, come into a healthier relationship with our technology. You want to talk a little bit more about that? Any other ideas you have on that front, or?
Yeah, I have so many other ideas that I
Yeah,
didn't write about.
yeah,
So okay, I got eye surgery in 2021 to
yeah.
get, not have to wear contacts or glasses. Now my eyes, I think, are more sensitive, so they strain a little bit easier.
Okay,
And if in the winter where it's drier, like I feel the dryness, I'm a little bit more sensitive.
yeah.
And anyways, if you ask any ophthalmologist, they would instruct you to every 20 minutes stare 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That's like a good way to reset your eyes.
Oh,
So
really?
it's like
Okay.
actually not good for your eyes to stare at something really close and to focus on a specific thing. So there's different types of vision. There's sort of like narrow vision, there's like wide vision. Um, when you're in certain states, you're more expansive and you're if you're like on a hike, right, you look at the landscape, that's more of like the opposite of how we spend a lot of time on our screens. So that example of like if you've been staring at your screen so long, the screen should actually change in a way to like get you to take a break, or at least let you know that you're taking a break. But even like, let me give you some examples that exist today where it could go even further. Because basically what I'm advocating for is not something completely new. It's just a further extension. So there's this thing you can get on your laptop called Flux. I think it's like F dot Lux. And you configure it based on your time zone. And then you tell them when you wake up and when you go to sleep. And as it gets later into the evening, the screen gets redder and redder. So there's less blue light in your screen, and blue light is supposed to like affect, your circadian rhythm and how your body feels. So if you stare at a bunch of blue light, you end up either going to sleep later or you don't get as much deep rest. So that's one example. Um, Another example, more in just the separation of work and personal, is, my browser that I use is called Arc. So it's instead of Chrome or Safari, I use Arc. And you can create spaces which allow you to sign in on different accounts. So I have even on my personal laptop and my work laptop now, I have it can set up to be the same where one is just like work email, work calendar, work stuff, and then the other one is personal. And so that creates this like that's one example of separation. But what I'm advocating for is a deeper, more stronger like I think the way a lot of apps and websites are built, a lot of devices, it's like giving the user a lot of ability to customize. But this would be an example of where the device will actually take even more of a stronger stance,
Mhm.
and being more restricting.
Yeah,
The problem is it's not going to be implemented by a company like Instagram where it wants you to spend more time on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It would probably come from like the OS level, like Apple. So, Apple has built like screen time and there's more of these tools, but I think it could come on much faster. Um, but people are like, I think talking about like the evidence that people want this stuff other than just me. There are companies like Brick, which was started by two college students at University of Wisconsin, Madison, I think. And they're just selling a 3D printed plastic device that's like about this big that has an NFC chip and an app
Yeah.
that goes with it, where the only way to unblock your apps is to physically go and tap your app or tap your phone to this like plastic brick thing. And they sell it for $50 and it probably cost them like $2 to make plus a couple
Yeah,
dollars for shipping.
yeah,
And it's just like it's gone viral. There's people paying money for app blockers. I paid I think 70 or $80 for lifetime access to Freedom, which is like an app blocker. And I just spent like $24 on an app just to configure the home screen on my phone to just be like a black screen. And then instead of the app icons, it just says the name of the app.
Right.
So I only have
Links.
6 apps. It's like
Yeah.
messages, notes, Google Maps, Google Calendar, Spotify.
Yeah.
And it's like there's all these like weird manual things that people are doing and starting to be willing to pay money for just so that we can get a little bit more separation from sort of the default.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird actually. Like, we're struggling with we're like we buy these things and we struggle with them. It's like
Well, it's like
yeah.
it's kind of like um what's going on in food where it's like we pay McDonald's
Yeah.
for junk food and
Yeah.
soda, and
Yeah.
then we pay another company for Ozempic
Right. Yeah.
to manage our weight, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of, or, even in a more like healthier example,
Yeah.
we pay, I don't know, we just like pay more money for healthy food.
Yeah.
Like, salads, like sweet green, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
more expensive than whatever.
Taco
And
Bell.
then, yeah, like it's taking more money, more intentionality, more effort just to like be healthy,
Yeah.
whether digitally healthy or, physically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you bring up that analogy. We interviewed a guest a couple months ago, Chris Kaspar, who is the CEO of this company called Wise Phone. And he uses a very similar analogy to like fast food, where he's like, originally when fast food hit the scene, I don't know when that was exactly, maybe 70s, 80s, like it was very exciting, right? Because it's like you can get the standard hamburger, it's like a quarter or something. You just put it in a machine, you get food, If you go to a store in Oregon or you go to a store in Washington, D.C., it's going to be roughly the same, tasty, cheap, fast. It's exciting, right? You take your kids there, they play in the circus, not the circus, the they used to have
Yeah,
the
those don't
fair.
exist as much anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I heard that that's actually a real estate play. I don't know if you know this. It's like this is just something I read. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but it's like um, I guess these chains used to own more of the real estate. Um, uh,
Hmm.
well, I don't want to make it up, but fundamentally, in a effort to like standardize the layouts, the real estate layouts, they had to like cut out a lot of the things that made them unique, so that you kind of get this more cookie cutter type of thing.
Hmm.
The Taco Bells and the McDonald's and the Burger Kings are all kind of looking the same a little bit, and that has to do with some sort of real estate play. Anyway, um, where was I? Yes, so there's like a lot of excitement and enthusiasm when these things first hit the scene. And then people start to see sort of the downsides, the negative effects, and then you have a kind of correction in the public consciousness. And then eventually you can get the Cantina Bowl at Taco Bell, or you can get like salads at McDonald's also, right? Like they adjust as
Hmm.
consumer demand adjusts. And that he was mentioning we're probably seeing something similar on the tech side. Um,
Yeah.
you had a nice quote in here about how you're like, I find myself dodging my phone these days, where it's like you'll go to the gym because you want the music, but you'll keep the phone in the bag and just walk around the gym because you don't want to like have the phone on you while you're moving around the gym because then you'll just like inadvertently check it or I don't know if you're still doing that, but you wrote about that in here.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets into very fine details. Like, for example, um, I can have my phone in my pocket, but then I'll try to like turn on that Freedom app blocker for an hour.
Yeah,
But Freedom doesn't block text. So sometimes I'll just like be scrolling through my texts, reading a text that I haven't responded to, and then not respond to it because I'm like, I need to wait or something. I need to like
right,
look something up.
right.
So even like when the phone is like on me and I still have this app to block it, right? It's still kind of invasive and um like I'm at this, I started going to Stanford gym, and if I have my backpack with me for either like my swim if I'm going to swim or if I'm have my basketball shoes in my backpack, then um it's not really convenient to lug around my backpack from like machine to machine. But if I'm just going to the gym, then I might like bring a fanny pack. And in that case, it is small enough where I just keep my phone in there. and then I find myself checking my phone less and less. So these temptations and urges are very deeply ingrained in us in
Hmm.
ways that are like in our subconscious. So
Yeah.
even though I'm like, I don't know, I put myself definitely more aware than the average phone user in America, but like even then it still gets me, even on the finer details of like what workout am I doing? What bag am I bringing? You
Yeah.
know, things like that.
Totally. The other big idea you had in here, also related to the gym, you had some gym examples in that one too, is the idea of devices that do less, not more. So the amazing thing about the iPhone is like basically it's a computer in your pocket. It can do everything your computer does, plus it can make phone calls, and then it can do so many new things that your computer can't even do, right? In terms of GPS, because it has all these kinds of things, because it's portable. So the trend in the consumer devices was like pack everything into one app, right? This hasn't hit America so much yet, but in places like China, you hear about these super apps where it's like one app just has like everything in your life. I think WeChat, it might be one of them, or
Hmm.
um, and so it's all just like pack more and more into one device, and that increases the value of it. And your point was like there may actually be value now in going in the other direction because what's happening now is you're like what you said, you're dodging your phone. It's like you have a text, but you opened your phone because you wanted to like read the news, but now you're getting bombarded with all these other things that are dragging on your attention. Um, or maybe like ironically, you opened the app because you wanted to turn on the meditation app and do like a 15-minute meditation, but you're bombarded with like notifications, right?
Yeah,
So can we have devices that actually just do one or two things, right? And then people
right.
can, but beautifully designed and do those one or two jobs really well. You want to talk a little bit more about that? Any ideas you have on that front?
Yeah. That example of the meditation one is actually even more insidious than, you know, trying to meditate in the morning and then seeing notifications. I don't have any notifications. It's like I see the messages app and there's a red dot with the number of unread texts. And that is
Right,
the thing that sometimes
right,
gets me to click it. It's not even like these super invasive notifications, which is the default. The default is to have notifications turned on with sound and whatever vibrations. But yeah, there's been this bundling. There's like this cool image where there's like a picture of a office, like a desk, and there's like a fax machine, and there's like a camera, and then there's like a physical journal, and then there's a huge desktop computer, and it's like the year whatever 1980, and then there's like 2010, and then it's just like I think it might have been an Apple ad. It's just a MacBook, right?
right,
Like
right. Oh,
that's
where they're
happened
like
with the
crushing it
phone.
all, right? They're like crushing all the,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, no, that's the iPad ad
Oh,
that
okay.
Apple did that they got roasted
They got roasted
for.
for it.
They
Yeah.
someone's like, yeah. But I think there might be an unbundling. And I think we're already seeing examples of it in the fitness space where you got like
Yeah.
obviously the Apple Watch, but then there's also Whoop or Ring, Fitbit, whatever. I think there's an opportunity. Oh, and then also you have like Kindle, right, for reading, but like Kindle sort of just for reading. I think Kindle might be like the best example of a already existing success case where like yeah, it's $100 and it's definitely worth the money for me. Um, yeah, it's a different display. It's e-ink, so it's less strain on the eyes. There's actually a startup called Daylight Computer that's trying to build kind
Yeah.
of like an e-ink product iPad competitor. Um, but my idea for an actual device would be in the realm of like meditation and you know certain types of audio, like guided meditations, or just, there's like Dharma talks where you have some like super spiritual teacher talking, right? That to me, I would want it to be separate. I'd be willing to pay for it if it was out of Spotify, out of off my iPhone.
Right.
And I think there's been attempts in the wrong direction with Oculus and what's the Apple thing called?
Oh,
The Apple headset. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, what is it
and
called?
then there's like the, Meta Ray-Bans
Yeah.
and sort of these like AR, VR things. And I actually think that goes in the wrong direction. I think what will take off more is actually audio first and almost no screen. But in this category, what I see right now is sort of the like always on, uh, you know, AI companion thing. There's, friend.com is this startup where the founder, I think, paid $1 million for the domain. And it's like this pendant, the necklace, and it always listens to you. And then it also talks to you as your AI companion. Like, I think that's not great. Different than what I'm imagining. I could imagine like use cases that actually, um, are really helpful. Like imagine like a Siri type AI assistant where you're on a walk and you're like, okay, Siri, tell me all the messages I need to respond to, but I only want to do it for like the next 10 minutes. Then I'm going to enjoy this walk in nature in silence. And then you're able to kind of respond to text faster than if you were in front of your computer or on your phone. Um, or like, you have a dedicated sort of well-being device where you use it in the mornings and evenings for meditation or breath work or like yoga nidra, sort of these like different category than like the hip hop rap playlist I listen to um, at the gym when I'm lifting.
Right.
Different than the tech and business podcast that I listen to also on Spotify. So I think there's an opportunity for sort of single use, more intentional devices.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I feel like there's a lot of possibilities there. I mean, you can almost imagine a new consumer paradigm where, like, people pick and choose what devices they need based on on their lifestyle and what their needs are, rather than everybody has the one super device that just has everything on it, you know.
Yeah, like I
People,
would be willing to pay. Let's Apple AirPod Pros are like what, $200 max right now.
I'm not sure, maybe.
I would be willing to pay $500 to Apple. I don't think they would do this because it would cannibalize the iPhone and also the Apple Watch.
Yeah,
I'd pay $500 for Apple AirPod Pros that somehow have some way of connecting to Wi-Fi and have built-in storage. Doesn't even need to connect to Wi-Fi, right? It could be offline, saved on the device itself.
yeah,
And then I have some like gesture controls where I put these AirPods in. My phone is like not with me. I might have just left my phone in the car if I'm just going to the gym, I'm just biking on a known route.
yeah, yeah,
Get
yeah.
the gym, put the AirPods in. Maybe it's not connected to my phone or text. Or maybe it is connected to phone, but not text. So if anyone needs to call me, they can still reach me.
Right.
And then it's basically the iPod Shuffle is
Yeah, I
what
was
I'm
gonna say
saying.
you're kind of describing a, a Bluetooth iPod, I think.
I just want, okay, even iPod Shuffle with AirPod Pro compatibility would be a step in the right direction. Even
Okay.
better if I mean, I think you don't need the shuffle. Like you could just build it. There's no reason why it can just exist in the earbuds themselves.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, just depends on the size.
I think that'd be a great product. I
Yeah,
don't know if it makes sense for Apple to build it because that's the thing with large companies. You get innovator's dilemma. It's like any
yeah.
decision you could do, you have to be thinking about like what's the trade-off here.